The judge overseeing a legal battle between actress Blake Lively and director Justin Baldoni has threatened to move up their trial date if the war of words they are conducting via the media doesn't.
Sources are claiming that Justin Baldoni may have gotten hold of some explicit recordings that could seriously damage Blake Lively's marriage to Ryan Reynolds. These tapes are said to contain major secrets about the nature of Blake and Justin's relationship behind the scenes, the kind of information that could rock Hollywood to its core. So what's actually going on? Is this whole situation a calculated move for attention, or is Justin sitting on something that could completely change the narrative? Here's where it gets interesting. Text messages and voice memos that never made it into the official lawsuit are now reportedly being leaked, and what they reveal about Blake and Justin's relationship is genuinely shocking. On top of that, there's apparently footage from the actual movie set that directly contradicts several claims Blake made in her complaint. All of this is being held back for the trial. Some are already drawing comparisons to the Amber Heard situation, and not in Blake's favor. But it gets even more intense. According to sources, Blake allegedly used both Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds as leverage, threatening Justin and Sony Pictures that if she didn't get control over the film, she would cut off all celebrity support and promotion, taking her massive following with her. Safe to say, that plan did not work out the way she hoped.
Will admit and apologize when I fail. I am far from perfect. I am a very flawed man, as my wife will attest. And and I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. I'm going to piss you off, probably, but I will always apologize and find my way back to center.
Clip 2. Here's the full picture. Author Colleen Hoover sold the movie rights to Justin back in 2019, and she was actually the one who recommended Blake for the lead role. The two were close friends, and Colleen stayed deeply involved throughout the entire process, even promoting the film alongside Justin after all the alleged issues came to light. Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it. After Blake filed her lawsuit, Colleen jumped on Instagram to publicly show her support for Blake, which is worth noting given everything we now know. Things started falling apart when Blake wasn't given the level of creative control she wanted over the film. Her response? If it's not on my terms, I'm not promoting it. But here's what I think is really at the heart of all this. Justin was constantly singing Blake's praises in interviews, complimenting her talent, promoting their work together, even after everything allegedly went wrong. That's actually remarkable when you think about it. Meanwhile, Blake quietly took over. She pushed Justin out of the creative process, took full control of the editing and marketing, and even managed to turn Colleen against him. And through all of it, Justin never said a negative word about her publicly. Blake, on the other hand, could barely say anything kind about Justin publicly, despite text messages that apparently show her thanking him regularly and acknowledging his hard work. She even gave him decision-making power over the film early on. Then everything flipped. Blake raised serious concerns about Justin's behavior during intimate scenes, yet she had significant control over those very scenes herself. Every time she had an opportunity to acknowledge his contribution, she changed the subject. Blake clearly knew how to play this, and she played it well. Now, in her lawsuit, Blake claimed that Justin would improvise during kissing scenes and that it made her uncomfortable. But here's what the full picture actually looks like. There were only 2 kissing scenes filmed before production took a break. When Blake returned, she suddenly came back with a long list of new demands. And on top of that, she reportedly refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator before filming resumed, even though Justin had specifically requested it. Make of that what you will, but something about that timeline doesn't quite add up.
You were even the intimacy coordinator in some of the sex your scenes. Like, we saw you.
That shouldn't be happening, by the way. I just want to be clear that you should not be the intimacy coordinator. You should definitely hire intimacy coordinators, which we did have. Thank goodness.
You were teaching Justin how to pull you in.
Where have you seen
this?
I actually just saw it too. It was on Instagram yesterday, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I think that, like, you know, romance is really important. You're supposed to, you know, tell a story well and make people feel, but you're also supposed to do it in a way that is like safe and respectful for all. I guess that's the role of intimacy coordination. But when I think of my involvement in the film, I don't really see that as the thing that I do.
This might be part of why Colleen ended up on Blake's side. Blake brought her in to help with editing after taking over the film, but there's more to it than that. If Colleen genuinely believed Justin's original script was brilliant, why was Blake constantly changing lines during filming? Something doesn't add up here, and we're about to get into exactly how Blake and Ryan have been quietly working against Justin this whole time, plus why the evidence seriously undermines Blake's harassment claims. In her lawsuit, Blake said Justin was improvising too much and kissing her beyond what was scripted. But here's the reality: there were only 2 kissing scenes filmed before they paused production. When filming picked back up, Blake suddenly came in with a whole new set of demands. And notably, she refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator beforehand, even though Justin had already done so and followed every proper procedure. That's worth paying attention to. This might also explain Colleen's shift. Blake pulled her into the editing process after pushing Justin out, but that's only part of the story, and there's more to unpack later. Here's where it gets truly strange. Colleen had publicly praised Justin's original script, calling it exceptional. So why was Blake rewriting lines on set every single day? Something was clearly off. And as for those harassment allegations, Justin's team has been carefully documenting evidence that directly contradicts Blake's version of events. Now here's an interesting twist. Justin cast Isabella Ferrer as young Lily in the film. But according to sources, the final call wasn't really his. It was actually Taylor Swift who persuaded Blake that Isabella was the right choice for the role.
We are just such similar people already that I actually didn't feel like I had to do that much to tap into those mannerisms.
I'm moving to Capri, and Isabella's going to take over my whole life now, because I realize I can just peace, and no one will notice.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It'll just be me from
She's
now
inherited
on.
4 children, an amazing husband. It's
So
going to be great.
So even though Justin was the one who spotted Isabella's talent, pushed for her casting, and pitched her to both Blake and Taylor, his contribution to that decision was essentially ignored. Justin was openly supportive of Isabella and her abilities, and privately she appreciated it, but publicly she said nothing. By the time the premiere came around, Isabella was fully in Blake's corner, despite the fact that she had never actually worked with Blake on set. Every single scene she filmed was with Justin, but Blake had put in the work, styling Isabella, bringing her to events, and even introducing her to Ryan Reynolds on the Deadpool set. Blake was strategically pulling Isabella into her inner circle, and it worked. Isabella slowly cut off contact with Justin, and it wasn't difficult to understand why. With Blake and Colleen now running things, Isabella's chances of appearing in a sequel looked very promising. Blake clearly knows how to build loyalty. But things get messier. Blake and Ryan were rewriting dialogue on a daily basis, something that's far outside the normal boundaries for actors. Blake even used emotional storytelling to get Justin on her side, telling him that previous directors had stifled her creativity. Feeling sympathetic, Justin gave her the freedom to rewrite a major rooftop scene. She then made sure to mention that both Ryan and Taylor loved her version, applying even more pressure. At that point, one scene wasn't enough. Blake wanted to overhaul the entire script. She made changes every day, questioned Justin's directorial decisions constantly, and Justin, trying to keep things running smoothly, kept going along with it. Then came the fat-shaming controversy. Justin's text messages have now shed serious light on the whole situation, and it's not flattering for Blake or Ryan. Justin had privately asked Blake's trainer how much she weighed, which makes complete sense given that he has chronic back problems and needed to lift her for a scene. That's standard preparation. But Blake turned it into an accusation, claiming it was a subtle attack on her body. She also alleged that Justin connected her with a weight loss specialist as another form of body shaming. The texts, however, tell a completely different story. Justin had actually referred her to a gut health specialist because she had been dealing with the effects of multiple rounds of antibiotics. and the messages show Justin actively reassuring Blake about her appearance, not criticizing her. When she wanted to delay filming a body-focus scene because she wasn't feeling confident yet, Justin told her she would look incredible and that they would work around her concerns. Meanwhile, Blake herself was casually joking in texts about still having weight to lose after her fourth pregnancy. Let's go back to February 2023, when things really escalated. Justin had reached out to Blake's trainer Don Saladino for guidance on safely lifting her during a scene. Don sent over a workout plan, and at some point Justin privately asked about Blake's weight, a reasonable thing to need to know given the physical demands of the scene. The very next day, Justin was called to Blake and Ryan's penthouse. The moment he walked in, Ryan confronted him aggressively, cursing at him and demanding to know why he had asked about his wife's weight. Justin, completely caught off guard, kept apologizing and tried to keep things from escalating. Ryan then insisted the lift scene be cut entirely, and Blake flatly refused to film it. To make matters worse, Blake's trainer Don recently went back and edited an old social media post, making it clear that Blake, not Justin, is his primary client, signaling where his loyalty stands. The bottom line is that the texts do not support Blake's claims. If anything, they show Justin consistently going out of his way to support her while she quietly built her case against him. And with 168 pages of emails, texts, and WhatsApp messages now part of Justin's lawsuit, this legal battle is clearly just getting started. There's also the matter of the raw footage. Blake wanted access to all of it, but other crew members pushed back because that's simply not how film productions are typically handled. Justin, still trying to be accommodating, shared some clips anyway. But when he eventually drew a line and stopped sending more, Blake went straight to Ryan and her legal team with an entirely new list of demands. She essentially held the production hostage, threatening Justin's career, disrupting the film schedule, and pushing Sony's patience to its limits. Then there's the behind-the-scenes footage that's now surfaced, and it directly contradicts Blake's harassment allegations. She claimed Justin acted inappropriately during filming, including sniffing her and kissing her neck without consent. But the raw footage paints a very different picture. The clips show both of them staying in character and even laughing between takes to build natural on-screen chemistry. In fact, at one point it was Blake herself who suggested they interact more physically to make the scene feel more convincing. The original scene had no dialogue at all. It was purely a romantic gesture. It was Blake who proposed adding lines to make it feel more personal. Justin agreed, and they filmed both versions. In the version with dialogue, Justin is actually seen complimenting Blake and Ryan's real-life relationship and sharing warm details about his own marriage. So where exactly is the inappropriate behavior? The whole exchange comes across as professional, even friendly, nothing close to what Blake described in her complaint. Blake was deeply involved in every aspect of this production and has a well-known talent for marketing and managing narratives. Somehow, she also managed to convince Ryan that Justin was the villain in this story. Which brings up the bigger question, why would Blake, Colleen Hoover, and the rest of the cast turn against the director who made the whole project a success in the first place? The simplest answer is power and the sequel. The follow-up film, It Starts With Us, is already in development. Justin holds the rights. But Blake has made her interest in directing it very clear, and Justin himself even called her a powerhouse and supported the idea. The problem is that Blake appears to have her own plans. She has brought Ryan, Taylor, and others onto her side, and those loyal to her have gradually distanced themselves from Justin. Here's the key detail, though. Justin still owns the sequel rights. The only way Blake could take over is if Justin willingly stepped aside, or if a morality clause in his contract with Sony or Colleen Hoover was triggered. If Justin were found guilty of harassment or caused significant damage to the film's reputation, those rights could revert back to Sony or Hoover, at which point Blake could potentially step in as director while Colleen continues to profit from the sequel's success. It's a calculated move, especially given how enormously successful the first film was. And the behind-the-scenes maneuvering goes back even further. Reports indicate that back in September, before any legal action was filed, Ryan Reynolds privately tried to purchase Justin's sequel rights, allegedly offering millions, fully aware of how big the next film could be. Justin turned him down, likely because of how poorly Ryan and Blake had treated him throughout the process. When Justin met them at their penthouse to discuss the sequel, things reportedly fell apart completely. So when you look at it that way, Blake's harassment lawsuit starts to look less like a genuine complaint and more like a final strategic push to remove Justin from the picture and take the director's chair for herself. Justin, for his part, has described the entire situation as heartbreaking. He remembers Blake being genuinely supportive during a difficult meeting with Sony over casting and wardrobe concerns, reassuring him, praising his talent as both a director and an actor. He truly believed they were working toward the same goal. To have her turn on him the way she has, it clearly blindsided him completely. Now, not every detail here has been fully confirmed, and everyone deserves the presumption of innocence until proven otherwise. But something about this entire situation just doesn't sit right. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.